I am the powerful alpha of Chicago this month. 11 Omegas rejected me for Marshal Adams. 11 rejections. In 30 days. From Omegas who once begged for a glance. Now they all bow to Marshal Adams, the shining new alpha with medals, war stories, and that nauseating, camera-ready smirk. I wasn't used to losing. Not in business. Not in love. And definitely not to a man whose idea of conversation was barking orders and posing in uniform. The first time it happened, I brushed it off. A promising Omega named Levi politely declined my dinner invitation. "I've met someone else," he said. My pride took a small dent. Then came Isaiah. Then Caleb. Then 6 more. By the time number 11 ghosted me after one coffee date, I stopped pretending it wasn't personal. They were all choosing him. I run the largest alpha-led investment firm in Chicago. My name opens doors, closes deals, and changes fortunes. But no title, no penthouse view, no polished smile could keep them. I knew what they whispered. He's cold, controlling, dominating in all the wrong ways. And Adams? Adams was a fantasy, a soldier turned savior, an alpha with scars, but soft eyes. His touch was probably gentle. His words, I imagined them tender, rehearsed for just the right effect. So I did what any self-respecting alpha would do. I investigated. Marshal Adams had transferred to Chicago 4 months ago, accepting a civilian leadership role after retiring from active duty. He was living in the West Loop, renting a vintage loft with exposed brick and plants he actually watered. He volunteered at a youth shelter on weekends. He once gave his coat to an Omega during a snowstorm. He was perfect. Too perfect. I needed to see it with my own eyes. So when I attended the Winter Omega Ballon exclusive event where alphas and Omegas connected, I knew he would be there. And I knew exactly who I'd bring. His ex, Jordan. He had been Adam's Omega for 3 years before they ended things. I knew because Jordan worked in my legal department. And despite the breakup, there was still something fragile in his eyes whenever Adam's name came up. We walked into that ballroom together, arm in arm, and heads turned. Cameras flashed. I smiled at Adams from across the room. He stiffened. Game on. We danced. Jordan was graceful, kind, and just hurt enough to make me feel heroic. I offered him champagne and laughter, but the entire time I watched Adams. And he watched us. Halfway through the night, he approached me. "Can we talk?" he asked, not even looking at Jordan. I took a sip of wine. "Sure, Marshal. Are you here to ask for your Omega back?" His jaw clenched. He was never something to be owned. "That's funny," I said, my smile razor sharp, because he looked pretty owned to me. He didn't punch me, though I expected him to. Instead, he leaned in close. "You're chasing ghosts, Ethan, and it's making you blind." Then he walked away, and Jordan, who had been silent the whole time, whispered, "I thought this would feel good. It doesn't." A week later, I received a letter. Not an email. A letter. Handwritten. "Ethan, you don't know me, but I'm one of the 11. You asked why I chose Adams. I'll tell you. You made me feel like a prize. He made me feel like a person. We don't need your empire. We need to be heard. And he listens." I read it 3 times. Each word stung deeper than the last. Somehow, I had become the villain in my own city. An alpha everyone feared but no one trusted. A shadow behind a golden throne. I spent the night alone, watching the Chicago skyline, wondering how it had come to this. Then came Micah. He didn't walk into my life. He stormed in. An Omega unlike any other. He showed up to a charity dinner I hosted, uninvited, wearing boots instead of loafers and quoting James Baldwin during dessert. He called my art corporate trash and my steak aggressively overcooked. I should have been offended. Instead, I was intrigued. Micah was fire where others were perfume. And he didn't give a damn who I was. He didn't know the games. He wasn't chasing a name. He challenged me. Over everything. The way I spoke. The way I moved. The way I looked at people like I already knew them. "You look at people like they're auditions," he said one night. "Like you're waiting for them to fail." I laughed. "And you think you'll pass?" I'm not here to impress you, Ethan. I'm here to change you. He kissed me before I could reply. It was electric. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real. But Adams wasn't finished with me yet. A city fundraiser brought us together again. This time with Micah on my arm. Adams raised a glass to us, his face unreadable. And afterward, when Micah went to find the restroom, Adams approached. "You found a good one," he said. I nodded. He sees through me. That's the only kind of love worth keeping. There was no sarcasm, no judgment, just the truth. I finally saw him not as a rival, but as a mirror. He had fought wars. I had fought expectations. We were both tired. "Why did you come to Chicago?" I asked him. "To rest, to give something back." "And the Omegas?" "They needed safety. I gave them that." "And what do I give?" He smiled. "You could give the world, if you stopped needing to own it." Micah left me once. For a week. He said he needed space, that he couldn't love a man still chasing ghosts. It was the worst 7 days of my life. And the best. Because during that week I listened. To my employees. To Jordan. To the letter writer. To the 11. And to myself. I held town halls at my company. I restructured leadership. I started a scholarship for young Omegas in business. I called my father. Told him I didn't want to become him. I met Micah in Millennium Park, under the first snow of February. "I'm not perfect," I told him. He grinned. "Good. I hate perfect." We didn't kiss right away. We just stood there, in the cold. Two people finally choosing each other not for power, not for image but for truth. So no, I'm not the alpha of rejection anymore. I'm the alpha who got rejected until I learned how to love. And that made all the difference. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.